All right. Good morning. Good morning. So today's topic is on dealing with disappointment in network marketing. The reason I chose this topic, I think in one of the 5 a.m. sessions, there was someone who asked about how do you deal with disappointment. I think it was 2 weeks back. So I thought maybe let me just do a quick presentation on that. So we are just going to focus on how do we turn the setbacks into strength. What I want you to know is disappointment happens with everyone. Sometimes when you're just starting the business, you are tempted to believe that, you know what, everyone else, their stuff is going so well, and it's just me who is struggling, and you feel so demotivated. But I just want you to know that disappointment happens to everyone. Even the top managers, they also face a disappointment every single time with their businesses. So you are not alone. Um, I've just written some of the things that causes us to feel disappointed or discouraged in our business. And I just want you to type for me there in the chat before we go through these ones. Type for me in the chat, if you've ever been disappointed in the business, just type for me what is it that caused you to feel, disappointed. Just type for me quickly there in the chat so that I also know that I have people with me today. Just type for me. One, two, three. Okay, team members not active. I love that. High expectations. All right, my leaders, I love that you are with me today. So there are a lot of things. Some of the main ones is rejection from prospects. You had a prospect that was promising, and then they decide not to join, or they start blue ticking you, or they start postponing. The stories are a lot. This week it's I can't come because of this. Next week it's I can't do it because of this. That rejection of you are speaking to people, you invite people for a presentation, they do not show up. That is rejection from your prospects. It can also happen with customers. You can have team members quitting, like one of our leaders, said, team members quit. They come in, they have high energy, a month or two down the line, they stop doing business. They stop even responding to your messages or even answering your calls. It does happen like that. The growth is slow. I see Daily and Kelly said how long it takes to move up. You can feel so discouraged. You are looking, you know what? I joined. It's now almost a year. I am still an assistant supervisor, or you've moved to supervisor and you are looking, your assistant manager, it seems so far away. You feel like the growth is slow, or you are missing your targets for your move up. It does happen, and it can even make you feel disappointed. I remember I started the business in 2021. Okay, I started the business in 2021. I started in July. In November, I became a supervisor, and I was a supervisor until 2024 December. That was like 3 years and some months of, do we have any supervisors in the room? And then you have to raise your hand. And sometimes you don't even want to raise your hand because you feel like, no, I've been in this position for so long. That is slow growth. And the reason why we feel disappointed with that is because you can see other people moving, other people during those 3.5 years, people were signing up and becoming managers in 4 months, becoming managers in 3 months, and you feel like you are stuck. You know, every time they say, and the assistant supervisors and they are cheering for you, and you feel like, yeah. It eventually you don't even raise your hand anymore. That used to be me. And another thing can just be unrealistic expectations. I saw someone said, what is this? High expectations. High expectations can also cause disappointment. Because when you make unrealistic expectations, you are not going to achieve the target. And every time you miss that target, it's really going to be painful. So I am seeing the rejection from prospects and customers ordering when you deliver, they no longer want to buy. Imagine, and you've bought a product specifically for them. Disengaged team members, when you find a potential prospect and they tell you they've been using the product, it is just not working for them, or they tell you that the products are expensive. Our coach Mariana says team members teaming up to attack you when you want the best for them. And it does happen. Then we have Jemina says, or even funny, they tell you that they are healthy just to block you to go further. So all of those things, they happen in our business. And we have to face the reality. The reality of our business is that we are working with people. It is a people business, and dealing with people is never easy. People come with different personalities, people have different goals, people have different ways of doing things. And sometimes when we lose sight of that, we might find ourselves being disappointed because we want to project ourselves and our goals on other people. So when you're working with people and you are part of Forever Living, you cannot be that person that says, I hate people. I don't like talking to people. You have to adapt, because how you speak to Leader Mariana is not the same way you're going to speak to Coach Gwen. Why? Because they are different people. How this one is going to be motivated is not the same as the other person is going to be motivated. So you have to learn to deal with people at the point at which they are. That is the reality of Forever Living. And because it is a people business, you have to rely on other people also making the decisions. Not every time that you are in control. You can't control when a prospect joins. You can't control when your downline is going to show up and order. They are people. And the moment we make peace with the fact that we are working with people, people are also facing whatever they are facing in their personal lives. That is the reality. And that just shows you that it is not about you. You have to deal with the reality that not everyone will stay. Some people will sign up. They are going to be so excited, and you're going to think, oh, I found my diamond. And a few months down the line, they may choose to leave. Another network marketing company can come. Not everyone is going to stay the course. That is just the reality. And these are things that we cannot change. So not everyone will stay. Make peace with that. They were there for that season of your life, and then you have to move forward. So you can't stay stuck because this one that I was really hoping on doesn't want to do the business anymore. They are not doing the 4CC. They are not engaging. Not everyone will stay. That's why we always say, you have to keep rebuilding. You have to find your key people. When you say key people, those are people that are going to be active. It doesn't mean that you won't have 50 people in the group. You will have them, and they will leave. Some will even exit the groups That is the reality of the business that we are building. The third reality is growth is not linear. It's not going to be a straight line that is going up all the time. Sometimes it's going to go down. Sometimes it will go up. Sometimes it will be stagnant. And you have to be willing to make peace with that. You cannot just expect for it to be up, 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 up all the time. You are going to face challenges in the business. People are leaving, prospects are not joining, you are booking events, and it's just up, down, up, down. All you can do is when it's going up, make the most of it. Make the most of it, show up and be consistent. But you have to understand that it's not going to be uphill, you know. Um, just as an example, like we had two presentations this weekend in Swaziland. I traveled all the way, booked accommodation and everything. Our second presentation, no one showed up, zero prospects. It was just the room and us. Some of the team members also didn't even show up, some of the FBOs, you know? So that is just to show you that it's not always going to be up, 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 up. Sometimes it will go down. Sometimes you will put your money to book a venue and prospects don't show up. It happens. Sometimes a customer will order a product and you go and say, "Oh, I don't have collagen, but she said she wants collagen. Let me take my money and stock. And then when she pays me, I can put back my capital." And then you buy that collagen, you go, now the person doesn't answer your phone. It's not a straight line. And you have to make peace with the reality that consistency will always beat motivation. So most of us are so motivated. You know, when you attend Success Day, you are so motivated, but you are not consistent. That is the thing. Motivation, it's like I'm motivated. This week I feel so motivated, so I'm showing up. Next week, if I'm not motivated, I'm just going to sit. Consistency will always beat motivation. So even the times when your team is not showing up, the prospects are letting you down, all of that, you need to stay the course and you need to remain consistent. I did the 5 a.m. session for 2 years as a supervisor. People would come, join in, start as assistant supervisors. Few months later, they are managers. I never quit and said, "Oh, I'm gonna stop doing the 5 a.m. sessions because I'm not growing." No, that was my period of learning. I kept consistent, I kept showing up, and eventually it became my turn as well. And when I got to being manager, I had learned so much just by being consistent. It actually helped me to even help others that were coming up and help even my downlines because I learned a lot of lessons. So we don't quit because things are not going our way, or we don't show up because we are not feeling happy today. You remain consistent despite whatever it is that you are facing. Okay, let me know that you are still with me in the chat there. And um, common emotional responses when things are not going our way. One of them is today's topic, which is feeling discouraged, feeling disappointed. You start feeling like the business is not working. You start doubting yourself. Am I a good leader? Am I not communicating properly? Is it something wrong with the way I present the business? Should I have done it different? And you are comparing yourself with other people. This is something that also causes discouragement because you look at others and you realize that no, I'm being left behind. And sometimes we burn ourselves out. You get to a point where you burn out. I love this phrase where they say, learn to rest, not quit. Because sometimes you are just, you want to show up, you are putting all this effort and you burn yourself out. So this is common. It happens a lot in network marketing, but you have to shift your mindset. So for me, the time I was deep in the depression, in the disappointment, I had to sit down and realize that rejection is not personal. It's not about you. Like I said, sometimes people are going through whatever they are going through, and them saying no has nothing to do about you. And I always say, don't carry the business. Don't become forever living to the point that when someone says no, you take it personal, like, oh, you even get into depression. No. They are saying no to the business opportunity. If they didn't understand, sometimes, yes, maybe you didn't explain it properly, but we take that as a learning curve. You realize that, okay, maybe I should have done it differently. That's okay. But they still say no to the opportunity. Then you move on and you learn from that experience. Don't take it to heart, don't take it personal. Even when team members leave, sometimes maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe the business is not for them. I always say we can't all be business owners. Some people are just meant to be consumers of the products. And some might not realize it until they're in the business and they see that, you know what, I need to show up, I need to do training. And they decide, no, this is not for me. That is okay. It's not about you. You move on. And every no brings you closer to a yes. So if you speak to someone and they say no, you speak to the next person and they say no, I always tell myself, you know what? I'm getting closer to that yes. Look at it that way. I'm weeding out these no's until I get to my yes, until I get to my diamond. And I always say it's better for someone to say no than for them to be forced into making a decision and they join. And then when they are in the business, I have to follow up after them and, be like those cars that you have to crank to start. So it's better if you say no because then I know, okay, this is a no, I move on to people that are actually willing to show up and do the work. And then detours are not denial. Sometimes things don't work out. It doesn't mean that they will never work out. Eventually you will get there. So how do we deal with all that disappointment? You have to focus on daily actions, not outcomes. If you are thinking, oh, it's taking me so long to move up, the problem sometimes is you are just focused on manager. You need to close your eyes. Don't focus on the manager. Focus on your daily actions. Focus on you becoming the manager. How does a manager show up? What does a manager do? What does it mean to be a manager? A manager is someone who has people under them that they are working with. A manager checks up on their team. A manager has activities daily that they are doing. A manager is calling prospects. A manager is doing presentations, is doing trainings. Those are the daily actions that you focus on. Focus on being that manager and not the level itself. So do the actions that are expected of a manager, and you will see that automatically everything else will resolve itself. If you are a manager who doesn't check on their team, and we see this, most of us were working in the work environment. If you are a manager that doesn't check on your team, you don't know what is happening in their life. You don't know, are they doing the tasks they are supposed to do? The company will crumble because maybe employees, they didn't even show up to work and you don't know why. Maybe your employee was in an accident and they couldn't make it to work there in hospital and you are just the manager in your office, you don't know. Is that a good manager? If you had a manager like that at work, would you be happy to show up to work every single day? Someone who doesn't check on you. If you miss work today, they don't even ask, where were you? Are you okay? What is happening? They don't assist you by training you on what you need to do. You become so frustrated, and that happens also with our downlines. So you want to become a manager, you want to move up, focus on the actions that are expected of that level. Show up for your team, do the daily activities, the calls, the follow-ups, the power hours, all of that. You need to focus on that. Once you focus on that, everything else becomes so automatic. Your team starts to say, you know what? I think I'm ready to do supervisor. I think I'm ready to learn my 4CC. Show me how to do this. Why? Because they see you showing up. You need to track your activities and avoid emotions, running a business. Yes, you're dealing with people. Yes, at some point you're going to be angry, disappointed, all these things. But focus on the activities, not the emotions. Sometimes when we bring emotions to business, we ruin our teams because of that. If you are a leader that whatever small thing happens, you lash out at the team. You go to training, they teach you something, you come and you lash out at the team. That can damage the energy in the team. It can affect how your team shows up. So you need to learn to manage your emotions as a leader. Even as an assistant supervisor, this is not just for managers only. Learn to manage your emotions. If you're not in a good space, take time off, recover, come back and show up the right way. So even if you are so angry, but you still need to show up. You still need to show up with the right energy. When I was coming here, one of my downlines was supposed to pick me up. We had a presentation at 1. I arrived at 11 and he showed up at 12:30. And it was a 45-minute drive to the venue. I was so angry. I was so tired of waiting for him. But when he got here, he picked me up. I just greeted him so nice with so much energy. We showed up to the venue with the right energy. You have to learn to manage your emotions, because the moment you start, why were you so late? Now we are late. No, no, no. And you are shouting and you are shouting. Maybe he was delayed in traffic. Maybe, and I had to understand he didn't have a car, he had to go hire a car and all of that. And the moment you show that you are not appreciative of what the other person has done, next time, do you think when you come, they will make an effort to come pick you up? They probably won't even show up for you. Because why? You were not able to manage your emotions. Then you get to the venue, there's someone who's writing on my screen. Jose Kwang. You get to the venue, you show up with an angry face. Do you think your prospects will join? Because that energy, you're going to take it into the presentation. So learn to manage your emotions. Plug into the trainings and mentorship, guys. You have to plug into the trainings. There are so many trainings that the company is doing for us. They help us because, Power Hour. I love Power Hour, guys. I always talk about Power Hour. We have Coach Mashi and them, they are training. And sometimes they call their prospects, and the prospect is like, I girl, no, I'm not interested in this thing. It can just make you feel better to say, oh, okay. Sapphires, diamond sapphires, as they are, they actually also deal with this. And you actually get to see how they respond. When the prospect had said no, or they are not interested in the product, but you only get to do that when you are in plugged into the trainings, when you are plugged into the mentorship of your upline, always work with your upline. If your upline is not present, there are other people in your team that you can actually work with. Plug into that, because that is how you pick yourself up. You need to have that person that is, leading you, that is holding your hand and pulling you. The day that you feel that I'm tired, this is not working, you go to your mentor and you say, you know what, my leader, I'm doing one, two, three, and I feel like it's not working. And they help you to get back on track. So you need that mentorship. Don't ever fool yourself and tell yourself, no, I can do this alone. You cannot. You cannot. Plug into the mentorship and plug into the trainings. Attend the company events. There is Rise Up that is coming. Make sure that if you are in South Africa, especially, you are attending. For managers, there is Managers Convention. For supervisors, there is So to Ego. Plug into those trainings and learn to celebrate the small wins. I always say this. Almost every presentation, I say this. Celebrate the small wins. When we had the second presentation where no one showed up, we still celebrated. We celebrated that we showed up. We celebrated that our venue was looking so pretty. Find small things that you are going to find joy in and appreciate. Don't always focus on the negative. Celebrate the small things. Celebrate the small things. Even when your team does a zero point 0.3 cc order, learn to appreciate them. For me, I do recognition posters for my team for every small order that they have made. Why? Because when you are celebrated, you feel so encouraged and you feel power to actually go and do more. So it works for you. It also works with the team as well. When your customer buys something, thank you so much for your support. It can even be just a message. I bought those small cards that I just put when I pack the product, just to say thank you so much for the support. When people are celebrated or appreciated, they actually they get energy to show up even more. Next time they want to order again, just for the fact that you said thank you. And for those that are saying, no, my team is not showing up and all of that, I always say, lead with empathy. Lead with empathy. Be that person that understands that other people are also going through something. Just check on your team. Don't be like, how far are you with 4cc? Where is your 4cc order? No. Just call to say, hi, how are you doing? I just wanted to check on you. And sometimes you will find that they will start telling you, you know what, I've been going through one, two, three. And if you show up for them, they will then show up in the business. So you have to lead with empathy. One of my downlines when we were coming here lost the cousin. Her cousin passed away just a few days before the presentation. And I was just calling to check up on her. Hi, how are you doing? When I arrived, I said, I want to come see you. Where are you? I didn't even ask her, do you have guests for presentation? So what is going to happen with your 4cc? No, it was, let's just be there as a team for you. We just want to take you out for lunch, just, sit with you and just check if you are okay. That kind of empathy. The second meeting that we had, it wasn't a presentation. She was like, you know what? I have an order. I want to do one, two, three, one, two, without us even asking her. But you showing that you feel for the other person actually helps them to show up as well. Don't carry everyone's load. Sometimes you want to also, be everyone's everything and it burns you out. And you should also learn to develop leaders, not dependents. Your team needs to be independent. Train them very early. on how to do what they are supposed to do. Show them how to do presentations. Show them where to get the catalogs, how to download the presentations, how to do their own orders. You need to develop leaders, not dependents. Because if they are so dependent on you, when things slow down on your part, you're going through whatever you're going through, the whole team starts going through all of that. And then when you now want to recover, sometimes those people you can never get them back. But if you train your team to be independent, if you are not feeling well today, the presentation will still go on. It's not going to be cancelled because there are people that can actually show up. And replace your emotions with systems. Something didn't work well. Let's develop a system that is going to make sure that next time this thing is going to happen instead of us shouting and throwing all our toys. We are left with 4 minutes, so now I just need to rush through. Okay. So limit negative conversations as well. Sometimes disappointment and you staying in the negativity will just ruin your life. So limit the negative conversations. When things don't go your way, don't find other FBOs where you can sit and talk about how bad your team is, how bad your upline is, how bad forever is, and then you just stay in that negativity. Limit the negative conversations. Stay away from negative people. Guard your vision. This is the equivalent of go back to your why. Remember why you started. Remember why you are doing what you are doing. That is how you protect your energy. Sometimes disappointment can actually not be that things are not going well, but I've just surrounded myself with negative people. So I just, all the time, I feel like I'm not moving. I feel like I'm disappointed because that's all you are talking about. So remember your why. Learn to rest without quitting. I said that earlier. When things are overwhelming, take a step back, give yourself a day to rest, and then you come back with a different perspective. Pray, plan, proceed. Always pray for your business. Whether you are Christian, you are Muslim, whatever you are, pray for your business and plan. Be a leader that has a plan. Do you have a plan for February? What presentations are you doing with your team? How are you doing follow-ups? What products are you focused on? So once you've prayed, you've written down your plan, then you work the plan. That is how you protect your energy and you turn your pain into power. So that disappointment, that story becomes your testimony. You booked a venue, post. No one showed up. This is the other side of business that people don't show you. But we still showed up. We still did this. That's a caption that will attract attention because sometimes as well, people, when they say that it's just good, 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 and it's too good to be true, sometimes you have to use that as a story, as a testimony to say, you know what, we are still building even though we are facing this. And know that disappointment is what is going to refine leadership. So, what didn't work out is going to teach you what will. Like I said, when you do a presentation and someone says no, you learn to say, okay, maybe here I must do it like this. Just take it as a learning curve. Don't take it to heart. And in closing, I just want to say stay planted, stay teachable, stay consistent. You know, your breakthrough is closer than you think. You just need to stay the course. I think, and I hope that is my last slide because we have less than a minute left. Okay, so I took all the time, unfortunately, and we don't have time for questions. But thank you so much for tuning in today's session. And I wish you all a very, very productive week. You can leave me some comments there in the chat. Let me know if you found value in today's presentation. If the meeting ends, you can also just, I'm trying to take a screenshot before the meeting closes. If the meeting ends, you can also just type for us in the chat of our WhatsApp chat, what it is that you learned from today's presentation. Thank you so much, my leaders. You are welcome to exit the meeting.